I felt so ill and so nervous because it meant so much to me to get this apprenticeship. I'm very lucky that he took a chance on me that day.
To celebrate 500 episodes of my Dirty Linen podcast, first of all, I can't really believe that it's 500 episodes. But second of all, I'm doing something really special for the week, which is spending a week at Vue De Monde, a restaurant that has been a very special place for milestones in Melbourne for more than 20 years. Our guest today is the third-year apprentice at Vue, Bethany Harman. Bethany, thank you so much for taking time out of the kitchen to chat to me on Dirty Linen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us about your role at Vue.
So, as an apprentice, I've worked there since the start of 2021, and my role is really to support the chefs on each section as an extra set of hands. So a typical day for me kind of looks floating along all the sections, giving a push where I'm needed, and learning as I go. So I really enjoy that structure, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So what have you done recently? What have you had to help with? What have you stepped in to do?
Currently I work primarily on the meat section, but I just got informed I'm transferring a bit more to pastry. But on the meat, I do all the vegetable garnish and pick herbs. I break down brisket. Yeah, so it's a whole variety of different tasks, which is just a great thing to do.
Well, I've got a brisket in the fridge that I'm wondering what to do with, so I actually think I need to second you to my kitchen for a few minutes.
I'd be happy to come anytime.
What do you love about what you do?
I love how service is like second nature, and cooking is second nature to everyone here. And everyone kind of just operates like clockwork. Like, we can just predict everyone else's actions, and everyone knows their place and works so well together as a team. So that's something that can really be witnessed from the dining room because of our open kitchen. So anyone who dines at Vue and pays attention to the way people work can really witness that teamwork and camaraderie within the institution. Also, the open kitchen is something else I love because it's a really rewarding outcome to see guests enjoy what you've created, and it also gives us chefs a chance to go to the tables and explain dishes we've created and answer questions enthusiastically because we put our heart and soul into these dishes, and just getting to explain them to guests is really lovely too. We're really lovely as well.
Is that something you've had to get used to? Is it a bit nerve-wracking when you first start taking dishes out?
Oh my goodness, definitely. I remember when, the first time I went to a table and Hugh Allen just was like, "Here, take this," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was on my way to the table and I was like, "Do I even know what this is?" After spending hours just creating it, kind of all logic flies out the window the first time, but you get it done, and you just show that you love what you do, and yeah.
What are some of the things, apart from ferrying a dish for the first few times, what are some of the other things that you find really challenging about what you do?
I think one challenge is probably stress. A kitchen can be a very stressful environment, and there's days that it does take its toll. We're in a high pressure place, and yeah, so the stress is challenging. However, I do think it's all about adapting and learning how to cope with it. At the end of the day, we're cooking. We're doing what we love to a really high standard, and yeah, I think it definitely helps to remind yourself of that sometimes.
Is the stress, you talk about, the benefits of the team, feeling like you're part of something, moving like clockwork, but does that also mean that you are particularly concerned about letting people down?
Yeah, I think there's definitely that comes into play because I'm surrounded by really incredible chefs and people that I respect, like, to an extraordinary extent. Like, of course, I never want to let them down. Everyone else doesn't want to let, Chris Marshall and Hugh and everyone else down, because, like, it's very important, especially for the guest's experience as well, which it all comes down to. Like, people celebrate really special occasions here, and we want to give them the best experience. So I think, it's definitely a factor.
And tell us a bit about yourself, Beth. Like, what got you into food?
So personally, I've always loved cooking and experimenting with food since I was young. But I'd say my food journey started with baking and decorating cakes for people's birthdays. I used to just, every single occasion I'd be making a cake, I'd be decorating, I'd be trying a new technique. I was obsessed. I'm not sure if you know the series Cake Boss with Buddy Valastro.
Of course.
You do?
Yes.
Of course you do. Well, I wanted to be him for a while, so...
I'm sure you're not the only one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway. Then, like, as I grew up, like, got a bit older, my love for cakes and baking, like, transformed into a whole love for cooking and food. And so I started cooking dinners and watching other cooking shows, and, like, my personal favourites were Heston ones, especially because when I was around maybe 9, 10, like, he was just, the coolest person to me. Like, he was incredible. Just witnessing what he could create with food was mind-blowing to me. Actually, the first ever job I applied for when I was around 12, so not even the legal working age, was at the Fat Duck for the lead pastry chef role.
That's so cool.
I haven't told anyone at work this, so this could be very embarrassing. But, so I applied without telling anyone. I attached pictures. I was like, I'm 12. I want this role. So very ambitious of young Bethany, but, so...
Did you get a reply?
I did. They were so lovely. They're like, oh, we passed this on to Heston. I'm like, looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, sure you did. But, it was just really lovely having that recognised, and, they welcomed me back when I'm older, and, like, it's very sweet.
That is so awesome. I mean, I just think the difference between getting that encouragement and perhaps feeling discouraged, you just never know, like, what a pivotal role you can play in someone's life.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I'm starting to see why, Vue De Monde appealed to you as a place to work. But, I mean, what drew you there, and how does it feel to be there?
What drew me there? So when I was around maybe 13, 14, I dined at Vue De Monde for the first time. And that was around about the time when Hugh, our executive chef, was stepping into that role. And anyway, so I was dining and I was watching service, like, in awe of what was going on. And one of the talented chefs, Chef Robbie, actually introduced me to Hugh, which I'll be forever grateful for. So I ended up organising a little work experience, which for me was incredible. Like, I was so nervous and, excited, and, I just loved it. And then fast forward to late 2021, I messaged Hugh for an apprenticeship, knowing that it was a long shot, but, I'd been dreaming of it for years. And to my surprise, he gave me a trial. And thinking about the trial, like, I was absolutely sick to my stomach. Like, driving in and going up to level 55, I felt so ill and so nervous because it meant so much to me to get this apprenticeship. And, long story short, I ended up being taken on. And, I seriously, like, can't express how excited I was. But, I'm I'm very lucky that he took a chance on me that day.
How long did it take for the sick feeling to ease off and for you to just, be able to throw yourself wholeheartedly and enthusiastically into your role?
So during the trial, I don't think it ever subsided, maybe a little bit, but not much. But when I started at Vue, maybe like a week, and like as soon as I'd get to work, start, working with people I knew, and like I knew everyone's name, and, you feel so much more comfortable and, not nervous to go to work anymore. But like it's just this like uneasy feeling that, oh my gosh, like I'm at Vue De Monde.
Have you had a chance to eat at the restaurant since you've worked there?
I haven't, actually. I mean, the thing is, we eat as we go. We don't get the fabulous, like, dining experience that the guests do, but, we get to taste all the meals. It's quite a great job.
This episode is proudly supported by OpenTable.
Nearly 1/3 of diners are booking same day. So they're making those decisions on the spot. And 10% are making their bookings within just a few hours. And so it's why it's so important to have booking software like OpenTable, which allows your diners to discover you. And so when restaurants are on platforms like OpenTable, they're much more likely to be discovered. We help diners to connect to restaurants. Ultimately, having technology, using technology, helps you to reattach to those diners.
Experience the power of OpenTable. For an exclusive offer, visit restaurant.opentable.com.au/DITW.
What would you say to a young chef who's wondering where to aim at for their apprenticeship? Like, why would someone try to emulate what you've done and work at a place like Vue De Monde?
I don't think I'm the most qualified person to give this advice, but I would say just dream big. Like, wherever you want to go, you can go. And I'd say what my advice would be is give some thought into where you want to go. Research the place, research the people there, the head chef there, the executive chef there. Research how their food aligns with what you want to do and make sure that's similar or the same. So you're really doing and creating the food that you want to create and training with those people who can really influence your life for the better.
And how important would you say, like, how do you, because it sounds like you really relish the culture at Vue De Monde, but do you think it's more important to look for a place that's got a great culture or a place that's got great food?
I think it's both are important. It's important to have a bit of a balance there. A culture is really, really crucial because we've all heard of, like, kitchens that can be a terrible, like, toxic environment and really tear you down, and, you want somewhere that's going to be encouraging to you, especially as an apprentice. Like, it's hard. You make a mistake. Like, you make mistakes. It's going to happen. Like, I remember when I started at Vue, like, part of the reason I was so nervous was because I was like, what they do is, perfection. And you could not make a mistake. And I was putting so much pressure on myself that, like, you can't make a mistake. And then I realised that it's actually not like that. Like, everyone makes mistakes. It's about, how you learn from that and how you, adapt.
Yeah, well, I remember chatting to Robbie Bell, who was working with Hugh when he was an apprentice at Rockpool, and he said that Hugh made heaps of mistakes and was confident enough to almost laugh them off, that, he was, and to be really quite clear that he was there to make mistakes. That was his, he was there to learn, and learning means making mistakes. So I guess you've definitely, you've got a good attitude there. What about, what do you hear from your classmates, from other apprentices? Do they have a different perspective on the industry? And is there anything that you wish was different for apprentices?
Oh, that's a good question. So So I'd say most of the people, like, I network with a lot of other apprentices across, like, Australia and, you know, people that I've met in, like, my vet kitchen operations course, and, you know, so I know quite a handful of young chefs, and most of the ones that I know are really passionate and eager to learn and like myself, and it's great to interact with people like that because, you know, I loved school personally, but I found something that was always lacking was having people who just, like, shared that, like, really deep passion for cooking, like, especially.
So, Bethany, what are your plans for the future?
Oh, there's so many. Oh my gosh, I can't bombard you, but
please do.
Where to start? Oh my god. So, in the very near future, so next week to be precise, I'm participating in the Proud to be a Chef competition. So yeah, I'm one of the 32 finalists selected across Australia.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm sure that'll be a really great opportunity to learn and be mentored by the industry leaders, as well as, like I said earlier, a chance to network with other apprentices and gain an insight into who the future of this industry may be. So I think that's quite exciting. And then more distant future, I am just dreaming of working overseas, like most chefs, I would say. Like, I'm personally very interested in working at Core by Claire Smith, and I've remained kind of set on that since day one of my apprenticeship. Like, I love what she does. Ever since I dined there in I think 2018. Yeah, she's just been a huge inspiration. But there's heaps of restaurants I'd love to work at. Like, another one that I'm really intrigued by is the French Laundry. I've read, I think, all of Thomas Keller's books, maybe not all of them, and he sounds like a really great mentor, and but I'm not sure he's in his kitchens much these days. But I read this quote in one of his books, I think the French Laundry book, that was something along the lines of, like, talking about the people at the French Laundry expecting their new hires to exceed what they as the senior chef can do, as, like, that's the only way to keep improving. And he says something like, if the trainee doesn't overcome or doesn't over time become better than the original chef himself, then he's failed. Which I think that's a very blatant statement, but it just shows his commitment to upskilling his staff whilst improving his institution in the process. So,
wow, that's very inspiring.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And yeah, so as a young chef who's eager to learn and become the best chef she can, like, you know, that sounds like, you know, music to my ears. Like, you know, I just want to be there. Like.
Over the years, you know, it's been especially challenging for women to make their way in the industry. Where do you think things are at for female chefs these days?
Oh, that's a very tough question because, like, I'd say from my experience, yes, there's definitely a greater ratio of men than women in the industry. However, I do think it is changing. I think more women are pursuing this, like, incredible industry. But it is difficult. Like, it's not easy for women or anyone, but I do see, or I hope that, like, it can continue to improve and just for people to follow what they love and follow what they genuinely want to do in life.
Beth, what's a favourite dish of yours to make? I mean, we've heard about your passion for cakes, pastry. What's a favourite dish, whether it's at work or at home? What do you really love to cook?
Oh my goodness, you won't believe this is like my least favourite question on the planet of the earth. Because whoever, the first time people meet you, when they learn that you like to cook, their first question is this, and I never have an answer. It's awful. 17 or something years of cooking, at home and stuff, and I still don't have an answer to this. But, I'd say at home, what I cook is a combination of, R&D, so my, ideas for new dishes, as well as techniques and products that I need to learn for my apprenticeship, or not necessarily my apprenticeship, but to learn so I have the skills after my apprenticeship. So I'd say currently I'm a little obsessed with breads and pastries, laminated pastries, croissants, and, trying to perfect those. So just last week, I think over 2 days I made focaccia, baguettes, ciabatta, brioche, and I wanted to do croissants as well, but couldn't get it done. But, so yeah, I'd say, breads and stuff at the moment. But my favourite dish at work is a very tough question as well, because there's so many incredible dishes at Vue De Monde, so many. I'd probably say my favourite to cook is the Blackmore Wagyu main course. I get to break down the brisket and brine it, and it's a lot of fun. However, in my opinion, the vegetable garnish prep for this dish is the most fun, because we turn baby carrots and mandolin them really thinly, yet not too thinly, so that they have a slight curvature to give them some shape on the plate. And it's a bit more technical and a bit, you have to get the right thickness. And so that's a bit of fun to play around with.
That sounds very satisfying.
Yeah, it's very satisfying and dangerous for your fingies. But
Beth, what would you say to people thinking about a career in food, wondering if perhaps it is the right path for them?
Do it. I'd say if you love to cook, if you are really passionate about it, if you want to learn, if you just feel it inside your heart that this is what I want to do, then you should pursue it. You should try it. You can always stage. You can do, if you're at school or, just thinking about doing it, you can stage. You can do some work experience. You can, just see what it's like to be in a kitchen environment. And, if that's not for you, then there's so many other options in hospitality. You can do your own freelance work at home with just cooking by yourself, or create your own small business. There's so many options available, and I just think it's a great industry to be in. I love it.
Yeah, I can really hear your passion, and I'm just totally, it's I almost want to be a young person and start a career in the kitchen listening to you. It's fantastic. Beth, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Can't wait to see what you do next. I'll let you know when I need help with that brisket.
I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for having me.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinenat.deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.